Warner Brothers is proud to present the story of a guy
Good morning. I'm here.
and his bike
James Bond kind of stuff.
together for the first time in their first big movie.
I meant to do that. I say we kill it. Yeah! I say we let him go. Merry Christmas!
Pee Wee Herman is Pee Wee Herman.
Hello!
In Pee Wee's Big Adventure,
Be sure and tell him Large Marge sent ya. What? Well?
Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This will be discussing the 1985 comedy classic, Pee Wee's Big Adventure, starring Paul Reubens as Pee Wee Herman. And there's a bunch of other people in this as well. It's James Brolin is in this, Morgan Fairchild. It's an all-star cast. For those of you joining us for the first time each week on the B Movie Club, we discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the past. So go ahead and go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and give us the big thumbs up. Also go to our page on YouTube at KD9575 and subscribe. It's totally free. You can also follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. Don't forget to spread the word, won't you? This week, Pee Wee's Big Adventure. Pee Wee is this kind of disturbed man-child that lives in this house where there's weird toys everywhere, statues, and all sorts of weird stuff. I can't even begin to describe it. It's like Neverland Ranch, essentially, okay? It's where Michael Jackson used to live, for all intents and purposes. And his most prized possession is his fancy bike, which he's customized with all these fancy things on it. You know, it's got like fins on it, and it's a fancy bike. What can I say? So one day, he gets up, rides his bike into town. Before he's accosted by a neighbor named Francis, who's a spoiled rich kid. I say kid, the guy's about 40 years old. So he's another kind of bizarre man-child. It's Francis's birthday, and the one thing he wants above all others is Pee Wee's bike. Pee Wee doesn't want to sell, so there's a little tension, a little problem there. Pee Wee blows him off, goes into town, visits the local magic shop, buys a bunch of magic stuff, swings by the bicycle shop to get a new horn for his bike. Unfortunately, while he's in the bicycle shop, he runs outside. His bike's been stolen. Goodness gracious. So he calls together everybody he knows in town, including Dottie, who works in the bicycle shop. She's the big bicycle mechanic type, I guess. For some reason, she is really into Pee Wee. She thinks he's the cat's pajamas. Pee Wee, of course, not interested in a relationship with a woman his own age. Tells her to stay back, and he's off to try to find his bicycle. He's very concerned. Can't seem to find it anywhere. He's putting up flyers everywhere. He's going on the news. Francis, who is revealed, has had the bike stolen. Now is nervous that Pee Wee's never going to let this go. So he's okay, I don't even want the bike anymore. Just get rid of it. He has one of his henchmen. We don't know what he does with it. He shifts it off somewhere. Pee Wee's distraught. He visits a fortune teller. And she's kind of a quack, so she formulates something where she's like, oh, I see your bicycle. It's in the Alamo. So she just pulls that out of her hat. Pee Wee hitchhikes, trying to get to the Alamo. gets on a lot of wacky adventures, meets a lot of crazy people. I don't want to spoil everything to you. Eventually he sees on TV that his bicycle somehow has made it to Hollywood. And it's now part of a big Hollywood production. So Pee-wee gets there. There's a lot of wacky stuff that occurs. He hooks up with a crazy escaped convict, a crazy waitress who dreams of going on to Paris. There's giant dinosaurs. Dee Snider and Twisted Sister make an appearance. The list goes on and on. Godzilla. I don't want to spoil everything. I don't want to give it all away, all of the twists and turns that occur over the course of this, the psychological tautness of the script, the drama. So that's Pee-wee's Big Adventure. What can I tell you about this movie? Well, Pee-wee Herman, who is actually credited in this movie as Pee-wee Herman, was actually, as many of you may know, Paul Reubens. He was a member of the Groundlings, which was like a improv troupe in Los Angeles that has sent a good many people to shows such as Saturday Night Live, for example. He created this character with some help of some other Groundlings alumni, and they actually created a show, I think it was on HBO for a while there, called The Pee-wee Herman Show. And it was kind of like a Mr. Rogers type show, but it was kind of, a lot of the comedy came from that he's kind of this man-child, but it's also kind of a little adult. It's not like what you'd expect. They dealt with adult situations, if you will. So anyway, people saw this, said, hey, you know, let's try to turn this into more of a kid-friendly thing, and that's where they got the idea for the movie. Now, the original script was going to be kind of a Pollyanna remake, where instead of Pollyanna, you have Pee-wee kind of going through Pollyanna's adventures. But while he was on studio writing the script, he noticed that everybody was riding their bikes around the studio. He decided to change the script and focus it on Pee-wee loses his bike, and the whole thing's about him trying to get it back. So that's what he did. As I said, he worked with a lot of the members of the Groundlings who went on to do greater things. One person, if you're paying close attention, is actually a co-writer for this and actually has a cameo in this, is Phil Hartman. Remember him from Saturday Night Live? He actually went on to play roles in Pee-wee, The Pee-wee Herman Show, Pee-wee's Playhouse, long before he was ever on Saturday Night Live. He actually went on to play Captain Carl on Pee-wee's Playhouse. So there you go, good times. Also, a lot of people you might recognize if you're paying close attention. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. The actress was Cassandra Peterson played Elvira. She actually has a small role in this because she was also a member of the Groundlings at that time. She plays the biker mama. Miss Yvonne from Pee-wee's Big Adventure plays a role in this. She plays Mother Superior. And the guy who plays Jambi, the genie character from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, he also had a role in this. So it's an all-star cast. You also notice Jan Hooks from Saturday Night Live plays the tour guide at the Alamo. There's so much going on here. So now they had this script. They were ready to start rolling. And they went and found first-time director. He directed a few smaller things that had critical acclaim. But this is his first big screen feature-length film, Tim Burton. Tim Burton, who would go on to direct many things. He directed Batman, he directed Beetlejuice, the list goes on and on. Another first, when they were trying to come up with the score, they found Oingo Boingo frontman Danny Elfman. This was the first movie feature-length film that he scored. Now he's gone on, obviously, to do a million other things. They aren't all Oingo Boingo-ish, you know, he kind of does his own thing. So it's a lot of firsts going on here. This movie, I watched it when it was in the theater when I was about 9 or 10, and I really enjoyed it. Looking back, 30 years later, a little bit different. It's definitely, there's some jokes kind of slipped in there, but it is definitely a kid's movie. It's not something that an almost 40-year-old needs to be watching, so keep that in mind if you decide to watch Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Now, it became a huge hit. So much so that they made the sequel a few years later, Big Top Pee-wee, and of course, Pee-wee's Playhouse, which is a Saturday morning show with a lot of crazy characters that spawned. A lot of famous people were on that. Like I said, Phil Hartman was on that. Lawrence Fishburne played Cowboy Curtis on Pee-wee's Playhouse. Crazy. Everything was going great for Pee-wee until, allegedly, he was found in a Florida porno theater satisfying himself. He was never convicted, but he was arrested, and of course, that was pretty much the end of Pee Wee Herman. More recently, he's popped up from time to time, and he seems like he's doing all right. He's kind of a recluse now, as I'm sure you'd imagine. One movie he popped up in, not playing Pee Wee Herman, was the movie Buffy the Vampire Slayer. If you watch close, he plays the evil vampire's henchman. He had long, crazy hair and like a goatee, which, ironically, is how he looked in that theater. I don't know. Drawn upon personal experiences? Hey, what are you going to do? What else can I tell you about this movie? There's one scene in Pee-wee's Big Adventures that's particularly near and dear to my heart. When, right before he goes hopping on boxcars across the country, he's at this truck stop where Large Marge drops him off. And there are these giant dinosaurs that they show. A big Brontosaurus, a big Tyrannosaurus Rex. That was filmed in Cabazon, California, which was right outside of the town where I grew up. So whenever I see those dinosaurs, I just remember of my sainted childhoods. That's another reason why this movie has a special place in my heart. This movie currently has a 98% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. 98%. Look, it's a kid's movie, and maybe that's the way you should look at it, but there's no way in God's green earth this is a 98% type of movie. I mean, there are Academy Award winners that are not 98%. Just my opinion. If you're feeling particularly nostalgic, you might want to go back and rewatch this. Your kids might enjoy it if you have any children. I don't know. I saw it on my next Netflix queue, and I said, hey, why not? It's all right. It's a kid's movie. What are you going to do? So there you have it. Next week, moving away from the children's genre, we're going to be doing the action classic based upon a hit TV show, Mission Impossible, starring Tom Cruise, Jon Voight, Ving Rhames. It's an all-star cast. Emilio Estevez is in there. What can you do? It is streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and see it. Let me know what you think. Send me any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, and I may talk about it on the show. Don't forget to send me any movie suggestions. Any movie that I haven't spoken about, please, just kick them to me. Just let me know. I'm here to please. So there you have it. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote. And here it is. I know you are, but what am I? So that's a good one. There are a bunch of others. Karen sent me There's No Basement in the Alamo. That's a very important plot point, so pay attention. Tori, he sent me Tell Him Large Marge sent you. That's also very important, so you gotta be aware. Pay attention to what's going on. So thank you very much for your contributions. Don't forget to go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club, and click the thumbs up button. Go to our page on YouTube and subscribe. It's totally free. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at The B Movie Club. Thank you for joining us. Next week, Mission Impossible. Be well.